If your waves or loose curls fall limp, maybe they don't hold, or maybe you get very oily on day 2, your washing and conditioning routine could be to blame. Let's dive into what works for this hair type and what doesn't. My name is Gina and welcome back to my channel. Here we talk all things naturally curly. I love simplifying things, doing step-by-step tutorials, and I'm also a curl coach who helps all different curl types from wavy to curly to coily find a routine that works for them that really helps save them time and get them longer lasting results. And I've learned so much about wavy and loose curls because so many of my clients have that hair type. And I'm so excited to be continuing this series here on my channel and diving into one of the most overlooked parts of your routine. So let's get started. Have you ever shampooed your hair only to find it becomes a tangled, matted mess? That's where pre-detangling can help. This step is optional and may not be necessary if your hair doesn't tangle very easily. However, if your hair is very long, if it's damaged, high porosity, or prone to knots, and especially if it's fine or very fragile, pre-detangling can prevent matting and breakage during the washing process. For this step, you have two main options. So on dry hair, like I'm doing here, you can apply a small amount of a lightweight oil, such as this Mongono oil I'm using from MopTop, and then gently finger detangle. So because my curl pattern is not super tight, and also I don't have a ton of really strong hold stylers in my hair, I can easily detangle with using my hands and a little bit of oil. That oil is going to soften things up so that way you can get through it easier, but don't rip through your hair. If your curl pattern is tighter than mine, then you'll want to do the next option that I'm going to cover. The second option is to detangle with a conditioner on wet hair. So you would do this in the shower or before you wash your hair and just apply your regular conditioner to wet hair and then gently work through the tangles. This is going to help improve your shampoo process so much. And if your hair is very fine or very fragile, you might want to consider doing both of these. A lot of times I do both of these. I want to make sure that my hair feels like it is detangled before I start scrubbing it with shampoo, because scrubbing it with shampoo is just going to make it worse and then require more detangling after. So I don't find that this extra step adds on any time because I save time at detangling after shampoo, so it nets out to be about the same. In terms of the products, you can use any oil that you have, any of them will do. You can also use any conditioner that you have for this step before shampooing. The purpose is not to condition your hair, it's to remove the tangles. So as long as that product allows you to safely remove the tangles, then it will work just fine. This is a great way to use up a conditioner you might not like as well. Now it's time to finally wash the hair. So if your hair feels oily or if it gets weighed down easily or struggles to hold its shape, even with stylers, it might be time to look at your shampoo. Many curly shampoos and co-washes are just packed with conditioning ingredients that leave behind residue, which can build up on the hair, reduce your volume, definition, and longevity between wash days, especially for wavy and loose curls. Instead, reach for a stronger shampoo to give your scalp and strands a fresh, clean slate. Now, we're not conditioning at this stage. We're focusing on removing buildup and giving your hair the best foundation to hold its shape and volume. You have two main options for shampoos: a clarifying or a chelating shampoo. This is the type of shampoo that you would use 1 to 2 times a month to deeply remove buildup from product, excess oil, or hard water minerals. Then you have your regular shampoo. That's what I'm using here today. So this is the type of shampoo you would use regularly if it contains minimal conditioning agents like oils or butters, but it still provides a thorough cleanse. So that's what you want to look for when it comes to your regular shampoo. A strong, effective cleanse without stripping, and then you'll follow up with your conditioner later. So I'm using the MopTop Gentle Shampoo. This is a great all-around basic shampoo. It's not too conditioning. I still get a really nice lather to the hair. Another good option is the MopTop Detox Shampoo. That's if you need to clarify the hair. So it has clarifying and chelating ingredients in it that work well for hard water. But I don't need to clarify today, so I went with the Gentle Shampoo. I will link you to both options down below. Also, just keep in mind you don't use both shampoos in one wash day. You would rotate those just depending on your wash day schedule. Then I wanted to share a couple of shampoo tips, because if you're not properly shampooing, you're going to still end up with oil or your hair is not going to last very long. And I know a lot of you with wavy curls and loose curls find that you have to wash more frequently, so make sure you're not doing any of these common mistakes first before you change out your shampoo. I also like using a scalp scrubber. This is just a shampoo brush There's several different options for these, but just make sure it's not too hard. You don't want to damage your scalp or anything, but this can really help to manually lift away that buildup so that way it actually gets your scalp clean. So you really want to take your time massaging your scalp and scrubbing your scalp, not just your hair. I do take my shampoo down the lengths of my hair because you do still need to cleanse the lengths of your hair. They have products on them, so make sure that shampoo is making its way down your hair strands. You might also need to shampoo twice, especially if your hair is very oily or has a lot of product in it, or your hair is very thick and you're struggling with covering all areas. The main thing is you just need to pay attention. Don't just blindly shampoo really fast and then jump out of the shower. You might be leaving behind spots that didn't even get covered, and that can really just ruin your wash day. We don't wash our hair super often, so we want to make it count when we do. I highly recommend checking your scalp before you move on to conditioner. So again, just paying attention, making sure that it's actually clean. So I just like to run my fingers over my scalp, and if it feels greasy or waxy, go in for another round. Also, it's completely normal for your hair to feel like it doesn't really have any slip after you shampoo. That's how you know that you got a good cleanse, but don't worry, we're going in with conditioner to restore that softness. One of the most common mistakes that I see, especially for wavy hair, is using conditioner that's way too heavy. Even if your hair feels dry or frizzy, layering on thick butter or oil-heavy conditioners can actually weigh down your waves or curls and reduce your volume, bounce, and definition. Avoid leaving your conditioner in your hair, as this can over-moisturize your hair and impact your hold. Doing so can decrease the effectiveness of your stylers, which causes your waves and curls to struggle to hold their shape. So instead, opt for a lightweight conditioner that gives you just enough moisture without weighing down the hair shaft. Today I'm using the MopTop Light Conditioner, which is a very lightweight water-based conditioner that's great for finer hair types, wavy hair, or looser curl patterns, or just those who get weighed down really easily. While it does contain 7 oils, most of them are listed towards the bottom of the ingredients, and they're likely just added for fragrance or a very small boost and slip. So it still rinses clean and feels very weightless. It also contains some amino acids, which can help to strengthen and condition the hair, and those types of strengthening ingredients are suitable for all hair types. A few tips when it comes to conditioning your waves and loose curls. So you want to evenly distribute the conditioner throughout your hair, focusing on the mid-lengths to your ends, then working the excess up to the root area. I'm sure you've been told before to completely avoid your roots, but that hair still needs conditioning. You can't really leave it bare unless if maybe you used a really moisturizing shampoo, but you don't want to coat the hair in this area, and you also don't really want to get it on the scalp. So I just take the excess and kind of glaze it over the top. You also want to make sure that you rinse very thoroughly. This is where a lot of people go wrong. Spend the time rinsing until your hair feels clean and soft, but not super slimy or seaweed-like. Really pay attention to that because you might be surprised how much is getting left behind, and that can impact your hold. Another tip is if lightweight conditioners still weigh down your hair, you could try skipping rinse out conditioner and just using a leave-in conditioner spray instead, which are generally more lightweight. You could even use the leave-in spray as a rinse out conditioner and completely rinse it out. That's one way to get a very lightweight amount of moisture and then rinse it away. And remember, conditioning is about giving your hair just enough softness and manageability, not coating it in moisture and weighing it down. A clean rinse is key to getting volume and more curl formation. Now it's time to style. I'm just briefly going to cover some tips for wavy and loose curls when it comes to styling, but most of this video was about how to wash your waves and curls. But to get definition that lasts, you'll want to skip heavy conditioning stylers that will just weigh down your waves and loosen your curl pattern. So instead, go for lightweight products with strong hold, and maybe even look for some that have some texture and grit to them. This is really going to help hold looser curls and waves. So the Not Your Mother's Curl Talk leave-in is what I'm first applying. It's very lightweight. It has amino acids that will strengthen without weighing down the hair, and it also contains some heat protection. So I love minimizing products. Less is more when it comes to this hair type. Then I'm using the Not Your Mother's Flash Freeze Gel. This is a strong hold gel that has grit for long-lasting definition. So typically your thicker gels are going to have some grit to them, and that just means you can kind of feel a little bit of a stickiness in your hair when it dries, and that's going to help hold the volume and the curl formation. This is my first time trying out this updated formula, so be sure to stay tuned for my day 2 results because that's really when you can see how a gel performs. I will be sharing that later on in this video. But just to give you a little bit of some insight on this gel, so it is an updated formula, but the performance of it hasn't changed. So I did a deep dive analysis on the ingredients because I did see that the formulation had changed slightly between the original Not Your Mother's Hard Hold Gel and the Flash Freeze Gel. And from what I noticed, it appears that all of the main ingredients that affect the product's performance have stayed the same. The only thing that was updated was the preservative system. And I actually confirmed this with Sadie from Strand Print. She has been on my channel before, but she's a cosmetic formulator and an expert in the field. So I had to confirm with her just to make sure that I was reading the ingredients correctly. And she said that she agreed with me that that was the main change. So if you have the previous Hard Hold Gel, you don't need to run out and replace it with this new one. It should be about the same, and in fact the new one might even last longer and not get discolored. But it has that same thick formula, which I like to dilute with water because it's kind of hard to spread. I'm still able to brush style with it in my hair, but if your hair is tangly or if you struggle with your hair kind of snagging, then definitely just brush style first and then scrunch it in. That way you're not causing any breakage. But as long as you have enough water in your hair, it should be fine. You could also use the Not Your Mother's Curl Talk Mousse to add in some texture and grit, and that also helps give a lot of volume with a firm hold. And if you want even more styling tips and techniques for this hair type, be sure to check out part 1 of the Wavy series where I talk through styling techniques for wavy versus curly hair step by step, and I try out wavy styling techniques on my curly hair so you can really see the difference. Then I'm just micro-plopping to absorb the excess water. One of the styling techniques that I mentioned in that first video is how using more water when you're styling wavy and loose curly hair can really help the curls form and the curls clump better. Usually I style more damp for my curly hair because I like a lot of volume, but definitely use more water if your hair is struggling to clump. So if you're going to use more water, then you'll definitely want to do the micro-plopping step, or else it's going to take forever for your hair to dry. And if you get any frizz after scrunching, just add a little bit more gel. I like doing this anyways to add extra hold, so that's another major benefit of the micro-plopping step. And if you're not getting enough hold out of your gel, definitely try this step. So I'm just adding a little bit of extra. I mix it with water so it's not too much, and I don't disturb the curls too much either. I just sort of glaze it over the surface. I do a little bit of praying hands if my hair is looking really stringy, and then I'm ready to diffuse. I have one more key washing tip for this hair type to share with you while I diffuse, but I'm just using my Curlsmith Diffrizzion hair dryer that I usually use. It helps to dry my hair super fast and creates a ton of volume. The large size covers pretty much my entire head at once, which is really convenient. So let's talk about washing frequency based on your scalp type. A common mistake here is not picking a washing frequency that's right for your scalp type, especially if you have an oily scalp. Many people are told to stretch wash days as long as possible, but if your scalp is oily, this can just backfire. So oil, product, sweat equals buildup, which will just flatten your waves, cause itchiness, and make refreshing even harder. It all comes down to listening to your scalp. So if your scalp is oily, you're going to need to wash more frequently, such as every 2 to 3 days. I would just avoid daily because that's a lot of manipulation on your hair and takes a lot of time. So every other day would probably be maximum. Especially if your hair is wavy or fine textured, it's going to get weighed down really easily if you're skipping wash days or prolonging it too much with that oil buildup. Another reason you might want to wash wavy hair or loose curls more frequently is if they fall out really easily, even with trying all of the best strong hold practices. And if you find you're having to do a ton of refreshing plus your scalp is oily, that's definitely when you'll want to go ahead and wash. Now, if you have a normal or a combination scalp, you can go a little bit longer in between wash days. So for those of you who don't get very oily, you could maybe do every 3 to 5 days in between your washes, just depending on your schedule. Just use your scalp and your roots as a guide. If it feels greasy or if product is starting to build up, don't push it just to stretch it longer. And if you have a dry scalp, it might be okay to go as long as every 4 to 6 days. I would avoid once a week washing for most people because the hair can really get tangled and dry out by day 7, and you don't want to have to deal with a bunch of tangles or get breakage or anything like that. So I would say every 6 days is probably maximum for most people, but it's all going to vary. And a dry scalp still needs regular clarifying to remove product buildup and refresh the scalp. And just a reminder, there is no perfect schedule. Your wash frequency should fit your scalp, not some trend online like pushing it as long as possible. Build your routine around your scalp needs first and then style second. If your waves are falling or very limp, it's not always a styling issue. It could be time to rewash your hair. For ways to refresh in between, you can check out the video I did in this series all about refreshing limp, loosened curls. The link for that will be down below. Stay tuned though to see my day 2 results from this routine. I'm just scrunching out the cast here now that my hair is completely dry. This gel gives a pretty strong cast, so if you're going to bed or if you're going to be out in humidity, you could leave it in so your hair lasts even longer. And especially if you have very loose curls and waves, you'll probably want to leave it in a little bit longer just to retain that shape. But if you want to soften things up and break that crunchy cast, then you can go ahead and do that once your hair is completely dry. And I definitely recommend skipping oils. I just do dry hands, nothing on my hands here while scrunching it out. That way my hair doesn't get weighed down. And if you want to boost a hold, add in hairspray. What do you all think of these day 1 results? It's very moisturized. It does have some texture to it, but it doesn't feel gross or anything like that. I pretty much tamed most of the frizz. I just have a little bit of natural frizz at the top. Ringlets look great, curl clumps look great. Let's see how day 2 looks. I wanted to give you all a day 2 update with no refreshing to show you how this gel holds up. So I definitely have a little bit more frizz than I do with other gels that I have, but I had a little bit more than usual yesterday. Who knows, could have been the amount of water that I styled with. There's so many different variables. I've definitely gotten longer lasting hold with less frizz with this gel before, but really liking how it's looking. I'm not going to refresh this today. It still looks really good. Also, I did add a little bit of water just to this piece to make sure that the gel can be reactivated with water. And as you can see, I do have a cast back. So I can just use water to touch up some of these pieces, which is really nice. You can see that one curl has its definition back. So if I did want to tame some of this frizz, I would just take a little water, smooth over the surface, maybe scrunch up the ends a little bit. And if you get your hair pretty wet, then you can just diffuse to reset that right back into place, but don't spend more than a couple minutes on a refresh like this. But I'm just gonna leave it like this. Looks pretty good. I'm just gonna put a headband in to keep it out of my face and I'll be good to go. So loving how this is a stronghold gel that is pretty long lasting. If this video helped you out, be sure to check out the rest of the Wavy and Loose Curls series. I will link it for you down below. And if you have any requests of videos that you want to see that's specifically geared towards this hair type, leave them in the comments down below. I'm planning one soon on how to style loose curly hair where you do have some spirals, but it's also not super curly either. So I'll be doing that very soon for you. And don't forget to subscribe as well so you don't miss the next couple of videos in this series. If you're still not sure exactly what your hair type is and if you even fall into this category, I recommend taking my hair type quiz if you haven't already. It asks you a series of questions so you can get to know your hair better. And then you get a full report sent to your email with a breakdown of different things that you need to know about your hair and the products that you should choose. And I also link you to the shop page on my blog, which includes those products that are already filtered down based on your hair type. If you're really struggling with your refresh routine and your hair completely straightens out, it loses all of its curls, and you want to know how to get that back, I recommend checking out the refresh video that I have linked right here on the screen. It's also part of this series, and I show you how I turn my hair from basically completely straight to very curly without having to completely start over. So I will talk to you over in that video. Bye everyone.